Shit. All right. Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Brandon Manley. Thank you guys for jumping on this call. I was just thinking about it that it's a holiday. Happy Juneteenth to everyone. And I was thinking, this might be the best time for somebody to be getting on a call like this, because if you're anything like myself, when I was working with corporate, I would actually be dreading to get up to go to work the next day. And so hopefully we can show you something that might allow you to escape that opportunity as it allowed me to do. And with that said, really the goal of this call is to tell you about our company. It's to tell you about our system, tell you what we do and how we do it. And certainly you might have some questions following this call, and that's okay. We want you to have questions. Shows a level of interest. I'm going to try to answer all those. I can't promise anything, but I will do my best. And if you got any other questions, please let me know, or please let the person that invited you know, and we'll get those questions answered for you. I will put my number in the chat right now. So if you need to reach out to me directly, please do not hesitate. But let's go ahead and get started. So I want to tell you guys I think it's important to know how this company started, who started it, kind of the values behind that. And then I want to tell you guys a little bit about my background, and then I want to get into it. I want to tell you guys how we make money, because most of you guys are here and your question is, how do you make money? Y'all been telling me you make all this great money. Show me how. All right, I'm going to do it. So back to the company. We started in 2002. So we just hit our 20-year anniversary. It was started by a gentleman named Andy Albright out of Burlington, North Carolina. If you're not from North Carolina and know where that is, I would be surprised. There's not really much there beside the Alliance. So, but that's where Andy started this business. Now we have offices all over the place. I'm sitting right now in our satellite office in Treasure Island. And it's funny, Andy, he had an engineering background. He went to NC State University, graduated with a textile engineering degree, got into a textile mill and started working. And he was always kind of looking for something to do outside of that. And he found a business that a lot of you are probably familiar with. I wasn't familiar with it until he told me about it, but it's a massive company by the name of Amway. And so some of you guys are probably laughing at this point thinking, yeah, I tried that too. Well, Andy did pretty well over there. He worked his way up to a Ruby, which I have no idea what it means, but back in the 90s, he was making about $80,000 a year, which allowed his wife to retire from her teaching job and allowed them to live comfortably. They had, really no bills. But it's funny because his cousin, his name's Russ Everett, he's in the business with us as well. He introduced Andy to the insurance industry. And funny enough, Andy got into the insurance industry just to fund his Amway business. So obviously 20 years later, here we are. He found a way to do to build this thing across the nation. We've got about 10,000 agents nationwide. So Hawaii, the Dakotas, anywhere you can think of, we have people working. And that's because there's people that have a need for what we have in those areas. And so, what we really do is we're in the financial services world. We have a registered investment advisory that we own too. So we really help people out with things as far as, that we're currently going through the largest transfer of wealth. You guys are familiar with baby boomers, right? So I think it might have gone up by now, but I know the last stat I heard was right now we have $23 trillion of money being passed down. So if we can just get in front of a portion of that, I think we'll all do okay. So so that's kind of how the company started, and a little bit about Andy. Great guy. I think one of the things that I love about Andy is how front and center he is with the folks that we have working. No matter how big your organization or if you're just getting started, he is always available. He will pick up the phone, which was a lot different to me coming into this organization, because I was at a corporate position where I never saw the owner. And so it's really cool to see. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. So I run an organization within the Alliance called the Alliance Millionaire Group. And I didn't name it that for the fancy name of the Millionaire Group. I named it that because I thought about it for a while, and I was like, well, I want to produce the most millionaires in the Alliance history. And that's what I'm on track to do. I'm really pushing hard, not only to help myself, but to help other people get to the level that I've gotten to. So myself, I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. I went to Laney High School, which is where Michael Jordan went. So I always tell people, me and him are the reason that school is famous. Really him, but that's okay. I went to NC State University as well. I met a girl in college in my last year, got a job. I think that's why she stuck with me. I was making pretty decent money. I found a job as a recruiter, funny enough, but it was a way different market. It was, I was recruiting IT people, which if any of you guys have a husband or wife or significant other that's in IT, you know they like to talk to a computer more than they like to talk to humans. So that was an interesting job. It really taught me how to build rapport with someone. But I got up to management level in that, and I was making $160,000 when I left that job. And some people are like, "Well, why'd you leave?" There was just something always itching about the glass ceiling, and I don't know until you're in a position. It just kind of sounds like something everybody says, but I was in a position at 20. What was I? 26 at the time? 27? I don't know. Let's say 27. I was 27, and the guy above me was 40. So my next role was after a 40-year-old, which I knew, I mean, where am I going from there if he doesn't quit or retire? And he was really good friends with the owner. So I knew there wasn't much growth for me. And so I started talking with Andy. And in 2019, I made the plunge into this business and started growing my organization. And really what got me interested in this was what I'm about to show you guys. Like it literally showed me an opportunity to build something for myself versus building something for someone else. And now there's jobs out there that'll tempt you with a nice salary to keep you, but you're going to hit a ceiling at some point, right? And I think everybody knows, well, no, maybe everybody doesn't know. The financial services market, which we're in, is the #1 leading industry to create millionaires. And once I show you some of this stuff, some of you guys might call BS. Well, I can promise you, we'll show you. I encourage you to jump into a Facebook group that we have. It's called the AMG Expansion. I don't show numbers on this call just because this thing is kind of tasteless. But I do encourage you guys to join that group, and you can see some of the numbers that our team's putting up. So with that being said, I'll jump into kind of the opportunity that we're doing, and hopefully it makes sense to you guys. And like I said, if you have questions, follow up at the end. Let us know what your questions are. All right, I'm going to share it with my iPad, and I'm going to pray that you guys see it. Make host. Yes. I'm going to share my screen. Start broadcast. Hey, John, would you pop in real fast and just tell me if you can hear me and if you can see my screen? John, Spencer, anyone?
Yes, sir. We can see you and hear you.
Looks good.
All right, cool. So guys, so we are a insurance marketing organization. Okay, so within the financial realm, so very important for you guys to know that we are not an insurance company. What we do is we market the insurance carrier products to people that are looking for it. So let me explain that a little bit further here. I'm going to give you guys, I'm a very visual learner, so let me give you guys an idea what I mean. So here's our box. We got carriers, okay? And these guys are the ones that have the products that we market, okay? And these are not small companies, by the way. These are billion-dollar companies. And if you were thinking like I was thinking, you're like, okay, well, why don't these companies market themselves? Well, they're not specialized in sales, right? So it's almost like if you're good at something, stay with it. And you got a group or organizations out there that'll help you. That's why they don't really focus too much in the sales side. Now, they do have people that sit at home office and do this, but they would not keep the doors open if they didn't have somebody like ourselves. But to give you guys an idea of who I'm talking about, I am talking about companies like Trans America. I am talking about companies like Mutual of Omaha. I'm talking about companies like Humana, Cigna, even CVS Health, like everybody knows CVS, that we represent one of their products, and about 30 more, okay? So what we do is we are marketing to the people that are looking for it. So who are we servicing? Who's our clients? Let me demonstrate that for you too. All right, so this is our clients. We are helping them out with things like final expense, which is exactly what it sounds like. We're helping out folks with a 10 to 20 to 100, maybe even more $1,000 policy, so that when something happens to them, they have money to pay for their funeral expenses and maybe leave behind to the grandkids, leave behind to the kids, et cetera. We also do mortgage protection. Yes, I should draw that out. And this is when somebody buys a house and they want to make sure their husband or wife or their significant other or their kids can stay in that house and don't jump up uncomfortably and really get hit with a burden. This is to cover them to pay off their mortgage in the event that something happens to them. We do Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement. And those are plans we do 65 and up. So I know there's some companies out there that do like the Affordable Care policies and stuff like that. That's not us. We're 65 plus and disability. So we help out those folks with health plans, dental, vision, the whole nine, right? And we work with companies, these big guys like Humana, Cigna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, other companies like that. Retirement planning. God, my handwriting's getting worse. Retirement planning and protection. So we help out folks. We own a registered investment advisor. And if you're in the insurance market already, you can understand what I'm about to say, the significance of it. Okay, so we own a registered investment advisor, meaning we have about 4 people on staff. Our job is to go out there and help these folks. And if they have something as a retirement setup, what's the worst thing that can happen to someone that is between the ages of 50 to 85? They lose that retirement. Or if they're young and they're not planning for it, well, now they're not set up for it. So we have a whole team designed to helping us come up with plans to plan and protect for their retirement, which is a huge deal, right? Because we don't bring as much credibility as somebody like a Chris Norris, who's our registered investment advisory, who's been in the business for 30 plus years doing this exact thing, right? So I'd love to talk about that more. I don't know why this line keeps happening, but I'm going to erase it every time it does, so bear with me. All right. Now, we also do ancillary products, which are they are, oh yeah, that actually is included in it. Hospital indemnity plans, heart attack, cancer, stroke plans. So in the event that one of those things happens, no matter how mild, no matter how major, they will get a lump sum check, depending on what they've set up for, to help cover medical bills, to help cover expenses, maybe a mortgage, whatever it is. We set them up with accidental plans, which are very cheap, high face amount. And when I say face amount, I mean death benefit, high death benefit policies designed in case someone dies in an accident. A lot of times we're adding these on, but if they die in an accident, they get a huge lump sum. We do general insurance, which is like if I'm covering like somebody like me, I don't need a final expense plan, but we have ways. General life insurance would be like our index universal life policies, our universal life products. Maybe somebody just wants a big policy not designed for mortgage protection or final expense. That's what I mean by that. And we also have HMAs. HMAs is kind of like an SHA that has better benefits to it. For example, you can use those for cosmetic things. Now I've ran out of space on this box here, but we do other things as well, but these are really the major things. Now, if you're wondering at this point, okay, so how do you get these clients? Great question. We do it through what we call leads. All right. And we have direct mail leads. We have internet-based leads. We have call-in leads. Probably more. I'm just going to stop there. Call-in leads. And what we do is we target these folks when they have major life events. So what would a major life event be? Let's just name off a few. They get married, right? They want to make sure their loved one's protected. They buy a house. They have a baby. They turn 65. They turn 55. I mean, our market up here, the final expense is 50 to 85. Okay. Just give you guys some context of why we're marketing to them. So what we do is when are people most likely, when they have something like this happen, a major life event, they're most likely thinking about the products that these companies offer. And that's where we bridge the gap between the client and the carriers. I swear this thing. Gosh. This is where the alliance comes in. So what we do is we market to these people for the insurance companies. And so we send out, I'll just use direct mail for an example, because internet's probably too big of a number for me to even think about. But so we send out about 1 million postcards a week. And these little postcards, I'll show you all when I get done with this. No, I'm gonna show you now. These little postcards, can you see that? Anyone? This is a postcard that they get in the mail. So it looks like this when it comes to, we send out about 1 million of these a week across the United States. Now, the funny thing is only about 1.5% of people fill them out and send it back to us. Now, if you do out the math on that, that's 15,000 leads a week that we're just getting from one of our methods from distributing these leads, right? So, and think about this, right? If I tell you, like, this is a final expense lead. So if I tell you that these clients that are 50 to 85, we know they're not, sometimes they're not in the best of health, but they get this little postcard in the mail. They take it out of the envelope, they fill it out. It's always funny to me. They fill out their address, which is right here next to it, but they still fill it out. They take it, they lick it, they close it up, and they walk back out to the mailbox to put this in there. Now, some of the people that we see from ages 50 to 85, it would be very hard for them to get back out to that mailbox, just being very frank. So you know they're pretty serious about the products. So we just take what these guys have and we go and distribute it to these folks, and we get paid to do so. So let me explain to you how we get paid. All right. So I'm going to nix this page. Maybe not. Blank. There we go. All righty. So let's say that you are brand new with us, and this is you. It's comical at this point. So this is you. And you go over to, let's see what the lead says. You go over to Mary's house. Okay. So this is Mary's house. You go to her house and you sit down with Miss Mary, and you and Mary decide that she wants a final expense plan, and she wants to get $20,000 face amount, which is what she'll receive tax-free when she passes away. Well, she won't receive it. Her beneficiaries will. She wants to give $20,000 to leave behind to her kids to cover the final expenses, maybe leave some money behind. And let's say that's going to cost her $100 a month. That's about our average. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out which company to go with, right? Sounds tough, right? Because you're thinking, well, you said you'll have 30 companies. Sounds pretty tough of which one you're going to find. We actually have a tool where you plug in all of their health information and it tells you who to go with. So let's just, for this example, say that we're going to go with Mutual of Omaha. Big company. I mean, hopefully a lot of you guys know that. So what we do is we go over to Miss Mary's house. We decide $20,000, $100 a month. We take her, we basically fill out paperwork for her, and we send off $100 a month application to Mutual of Omaha. Mutual of Omaha is going to get that policy. They're going to do some underwriting, and they're doing the hard work. Just to be clear, like, we don't have to do any of the underwriting. We don't have to know that stuff. We have to plug it into a tool, basically figure out what's the best product, and fill out an application. They're going to send them back a policy in the mail. And then what they're going to do is they're going to send us somewhere between $500 to $1,000 each time we get a sale. And I'm going to break down for you how that works. Now, before I do that, I want to tell you that we have an entire system set up. So we have a phone script. When you were calling Mary, we have a phone script for her. So you call, you say something along the lines of, "Hey, Mary, this is Brandon. I'm getting back to you about that postcard you sent in. My job is to get this information out to you. What time are you home, Mary?" "Well, I'm home at 7. "Okay, cool. I'll be over there at 7. And then what you do is when you get in the house, you build rapport like anyone else would, right? And then we have a flip chart that you literally set up on their kitchen table. And we just flip through it. And really, when you're first starting out, like, I know these like the back of my hand now, but when you're first starting out, you really just read off what's on the paper, right? And they're reading it too. So they're not even paying attention to what you're doing. So we tell them who we are, the Alliance, how we can help them. We tell them a little bit about ourselves, right? We show them pictures of our family, and we show them pictures of our license to show them that we're licensed to do this. And then we just keep going, right? The companies I represent, your financial picture. This is my fact finder. This is where I pull out what we call a green sheet, but it's really nothing more than a fact finder. And that's how I get all the information that's going to tell me how I can help Miss Mary. Okay. So how do we get paid? Great question. So our commission structure goes from a 55% up to 140% in increments of 5. And I don't have enough time to explain to you how that works, but it would be a great follow-up question to ask. How do I get promoted from a 55 up to a 140? What I will tell you, just to keep it brief, you can get up to 100% contract within a side of 1 month. Okay. So it's not hard to bump your commission up if you're willing to put in the work. Now this job does require to work. So if that's something you're not interested in, it might not be the right call, but it's a lot of fun. And I'll explain more about the fun side of it later. So now let's just pretend like you're starting out with us and you're brand new. You're starting out at the 55% commission. All right. So let me explain to you how you get paid. $100 a month. We've decided that Mary's going to pay for that $20,000 policy. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that $100 a month and we're going to multiply it. So that's the monthly rate. We multiply it by 12. That's going to give us our annualized premium. So you'll hear us say a lot, AP. And the reason you'll hear us say that so much is because that's really all we care about. That's what we get paid based off of. Okay. So if you're at the 55%, multiply that by 55%, you come out to $660 is what you're going to get paid. Now, here's what I got to tell you. Up front, the insurance company advances you. So they're advancing you a year's worth of commission. Well, the amount they advance you right away. So if you wrote this policy, we pay 3 times a week. That's something big to say too. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So the insurance company, if they get this policy, what's today? Monday, they get this policy today. They're going to approve and issue it within the next, I'd say 2 to 3, maybe 5 business days, but usually it's around the 2-day mark. And they're going to pay you out right away a 75% advance. Another way to look at that is months 1 through 9. So really, or what you're going to get right away is $500. 75% of 660. It's actually $495 if you want to fact check me. Let's just call it 500 to keep it simple for me on math. Now, if you're thinking, okay, well, what about that other $160? Well, you get that. You just get it in months 10, 11, and 12. So you're going to get roughly, let's call it 150. You're going to get $50 in month 10, $50 in month 11, and $50 in month 12. So the crazy part is the money doesn't even stop there, because you also get a 2 to 11% renewal on every policy you sell for every year that it's in force. It's just like, this stuff was mind-blowing to me because there's just so many ways that we're making money all the time. So this right here, we call the 9-month boom. So let's say that you go out, let's say you start with us part-time. You got a full-time job, it's paying the bills, but you are looking for something on the side to try to get yourself out of that, or maybe you just want some extra money. So let's say you go out and you sell 1 a week. Let's say in a month you sell 4. That's $2,000 extra on the side. Not to mention, instead of getting 50 in month 10, 11, and 12, now you're getting 200, 200, and 200 plus 2 to 11% renewal on $2,000 worth of premium. Okay. So, and again, just to kind of reiterate, we pay out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So everything gets distributed very quickly. You get paid very quickly in this world. It's not, we don't pay every 2 weeks. We don't pay every week. We pay every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday. So these numbers can really start adding up. Now, some of you guys might be familiar with Robert Kiyosaki. I might be butchering this. I think that's right. So he has a quadrant, okay? And that quadrant looks like this. You have an employee, which is what I was. I was working for somebody, helping them build their business. You have self-employed. You have business owner. And then you have investment. And in his book, he's always talking about everybody trying to get to that, right? Right here is where on the sales side, there's different color. On the sales side, this right here would be self-employed. Everything that you do within your business is reliant on your production, or whatever world you're in, it relies on you. That's what that means, self-employment, right? So you don't have a team, you don't have anything. So what was very interesting to me, and this may not be interesting to you, so don't feel any pressure to do this. This is not a requirement, but you can build a business out of this. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's talk about what a business owner looks like here. And to be clear, you can be a business owner and still do this part right here, right? A lot of us still do. And it's kind of like, I like how Andy explained it to me one time. He said, it's like you're playing the game to get out of the game. And so let me explain to you how you can turn this into a business. And again, before I do that, I just want to make sure everybody's under the same understanding. This is not a requirement. You can come on if you just want to come on part-time with us and sell some policies. We still need your help. But if you're looking for something where you could build a business out of it, let's say this is you again. this is you, all right? And let's say you talk to a friend named Mike, Kim, and Brenda. And let's say that you talk to Brenda about the same opportunity, okay? And let's say that they decided to join you, all right? So let's circle Mike, circle Kim, and let's circle Brenda. All right, so let's say at this point that you're at 100% contract. Just for the sake of my math, like I got to keep it easy. Let's say you're at 100% commission. And let's say that you go out and you do $10,000 in a month of annualized premium. Well, if you remember on the previous page I showed you, that's about one application. Okay, so let's say you go out and personally write 10 applications in a month. Okay, 100% of 10,000 is still 10,000. You agree on that? So, but keep in mind, I told you up front is you get 75% up front. So really what you make is $7,500 that month, right? And just so you guys are under the same understanding as I am, like these numbers are not huge numbers. We have within AMG, we have people doing 50, 60, 80, 100. We have a person right now on the board with 100,000 annualized premium. And I think we're 20 days through the month. So these numbers are not crazy. Just keep that in mind. But let's say your buddy Mike decides to join you. And let's say Mike is at a 90% contract. He's worked his way up to a 90. Let's say Kim's doing the same thing. She's worked her way up to 80%. And Brenda, she's worked herself up to a 70%. And again, let's say that they're selling $10,000 worth of premium, AP. So they're selling $10,000 annualized premium in a month. And for the record, this can be Mike, or this can be Mike and 10 of his friends selling one policy, okay? All right, so if Mike goes out there and sells 10,000 AP, you get rewarded from the insurance company for getting that person to market their products. And some people are like, why would they do that? Because they make a lot of money. In the long run, I mean, you got to think about it. They're paying us an advance rate, and they're paying us a 2 to 11% renewal, but they're getting a ton of money on that back end. They got people way smarter. They got actuaries. They have investors taking that money and investing it and tenfolding it, right? So they're not concerned with how much they have to pay to get the business. They just want the business. So think about what I'm going to show you next as a permanent referral bonus, okay? So, and if you guys aren't familiar with that, like when you work at a job, you get somebody hired, you get them hired, you get $250 when they first start, and you get another $250 after their first 90 days or 6 months. But this is a permanent referral bonus. So this is what you call an organization. So look at these guys, Mike, Kim, and Brenda, is almost like franchises, or if you like Monopoly, look at them as hotels. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your commission level and subtract it from theirs, and you're going to be left over with 10%. With Kim, you got a bigger, what we call spreads in this one. You got a bigger or override. You have a 20% spread on her. With Brenda, you have a 30% spread. And again, they're all doing, let's go back, 10,000 AP. Again, about 10 apps a week for just themselves, or could be a ton of them. It could be 10 of them. All right, so off of Mike's team, you're going to get 10%, this number, you're going to get 10% of that $10,000, which is $1,000 in a month. I'm talking in a month. With Kim, you're going to get a little bit bigger. So she's doing 10K too, but she's only up to an 80%. So you're making $2,000 a month off Kim. And off Brenda, you have an even bigger override. You're getting 30% override on her 10,000, which is 3,000 a month. And this is not AP. This is what's going into your bank account. So let's add this up real quick. So you have your 7,500 plus another 6,000. That's going to give you $13,500 in 1 month. And, like looking at this, it's like, wow, especially if you've been with other companies out there that do a similar structure, you're like, wow, there's no way y'all are making that much money. Well, 10,000 AP again is not that much. I have organizations right now this month so far. I got one organization that's done about 250,000. I got another one that did about 100,000, and another one that's probably doing about 75. Got about 12 legs. But you can imagine, let's say that you have an organization doing about $500,000 a month. And let's say you have an average of 10% spread on that team. You are making $50,000 in overrides, not even counting what you're doing on your own pen. And this is about the time, like this is where, like my organization is pushing 500,000 right now. And I honestly like stepped back from the selling side. So I really took that to heart when he said, play the game to get out of the game. Like that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to build an organization out of this. I wanted to teach people what they showed me how to do. And I wanted to help those people do what I'm doing. And so that's kind of what we're in the midst of doing right now. And it's really been, you know, it's really a fun thing to do, especially when you get going. I'm going to talk a little bit about our incentive trips and results and stuff like that here in a minute. But I do want to let you guys know another thing. So there is a barrier of entry in this world, and it's very into the insurance world, and it's very, very low. Okay. So to do this, you have to get an insurance license, and you can get life and health. I'd encourage, well, talk with the person who invited you. But if you get both, you can offer all of our products. So the insurance license, we've got a pretty sweet deal worked out. So you have to take a prerequisite course. You have to, so which that costs, that's $200, but we nix that. We get it to you for $49. That's a one, all these are one time, by the way. You have to do what's called register with your state, which is typically, depending on what state you're in, it differs. But I'm in Florida now, and Florida's is $64. And then you have to pay for fingerprints. Again, I'm in Florida now, so I'm gonna use them as an example. Changes very little throughout each state, but I think fingerprints were like $37. And then you also, what am I forgetting? Fingerprint registration, prerequisite course, and oh, the testing center. All right, I give up. You have to do the test. You have to pay the testing center. If you guys are familiar with like a Pearson VUE, that's typically around $50. So all in all, your average cost, depending on the state, is around $200 to get your insurance license. But I just showed you on our lowest commission, you make upfront, your advance rate is $500. So you make what, 2.5 times that right away, right? So you pay off the license. If it's nothing like real estate where you got to go sit through a course. All of this prerequisite is online. You can do it at wee hours of the night if you're working. It takes, on average, it takes people about 4 days to get through. Some take longer, some finished in 2 days. They're overachievers. And then they go take that test and they're licensed. It's a one-time thing. To keep your license, you got to do some continued ed classes. It's like 24 hours worth of continued ed. It took me an hour and a half to do that. So it doesn't take 24 hours, but it is required that you do 24 hours of continuing ed every 2 years to keep your license. So this is the barrier of entry, if you will. You do have to get an insurance license. We can walk you through that and show you how to do it. It is not complicated. I passed it. You can pass it. I promise you. I was not a very studious person, and I had no problem with it. You can take this as many times as you want, but most people, they pass on the first try, not the first try, the second try. So so that's a little bit about the insurance class. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I do want to talk a little bit about the events that we have. We have 4 major trainings a year. So the next one coming up is in Reno, Nevada. So actually a lot of us are gearing up for that. It's June 24th through the 26th. Okay, so these are unbelievable. Like, you get around folks who are doing what you want to do. And I always compare it to like Michael Jordan. If you were trying to become a professional basketball player and Michael Jordan was doing a camp somewhere, you'd go, right? You want to learn from the best. And so that's really, you're getting around people that it's very in-depth conversations or trainings, I should say, on very specific things that happen in our industry. And you're talking to the best of the best who are doing the training, right? So our next one coming up is in Burlington, North Carolina, back at headquarters. I think it's the last weekend of September, like let's say just September 30th, just to call it. I think it's that weekend. That's going to be an amazing event. And then in January, we'll have another one. So we have 4 major events. So training is like, we have a lot of training. We got a university online where you can go and learn about all the products. We have phone scripts, not to mention the people that you have connections with. I mean, within AMG, you have so many people to reach out to. And I'll tell you, I'm very passionate about the supportive side of within my organization, because when I started, I was direct to Andy, right? Andy Albright, which is great, right? But the problem is when I'm sitting in a house, I'm not going to call Andy in a house and ask him which product to go with. So I've created things to try to make it to where when you're still learning, because a lot of this job is caught more than it is taught. So while you're still learning, I want you to be making money. So I've got things like we have a group chat where if you have any questions, you can go in there and ask. We celebrate each other in there. I have a number that you pick up the phone. It dials 6 people simultaneously when you're sitting down with Miss Mary. If you have any questions, or if you just simply need help closing the deal, we're right there for you. So don't let it intimidate you that you've never done this before, because most everyone that's in this organization did not start as an insurance agent, right? They got into it somehow. So we do a lot of different training. So and we got so many, like, I think if you're asking me what's differentiates us from the other IMOs, our competitors, if you will, if you want to call them that, is really like the culture that we have, and the willingness to help. Like if I have someone out in Arizona, I know I can call Tim Sipe and he'll help them out, right? Be very hands-on with them, even though he doesn't make any financial gain. So the support, the culture side of it, you got to get around it to feel it. So if I can't really relay everything to you on this call, but hopefully you guys get what I'm saying there. All right, let me get off this, and then I want to talk to you guys about a couple more things. Stop. Let me make myself host again. All right. I saw somebody said need leads. We got you. Okay. I'm back. All right. It feels great to see you guys again. It was weird. Okay. So a couple other things. So like as far as what we do, I mean, this is not something where you just kind of plug in, right? And see how it goes. I mean, if you want to get going with us and you want to get around the team, like we get results, right? Like I always tell people, these are real numbers. The people on this call who are already doing this, they're real people, and we have a lot of fun. Okay. So there's a couple other things. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to show you guys, we just got back. So we do these incentive trips. Okay. And these incentive trips are great. And if you guys have been a part of a sales organization, most companies do some sort of incentive trip. Now, what I got to tell you, what's different from my experience with incentive trips and what's different with this company and their incentive trips is a 100% like the quality of it. So you're staying at 5-star resorts. You get cash before you go for spending money. You get a present every night that you're there. And we have a blast. I mean, an absolute blast. And this next trip, I don't know if any of you guys are of the heritage or really want to go, but this next trip that we're qualifying for this year is for Ireland. So we are going to Ireland, and then the extension. So it's a 7 days in Ireland is the base trip. If you hit the extension, Killarney maybe or something like that. Sounds Irish, Killarney. It's an extension for 3 days there. So how do you win these? You win these trips with annualized premium. And also we give out a lot of bonus points. So if you're brand new with us and you are going to Reno, you get 50,000 bonus points. And let me explain to you how a point works. So we have to have 135,000 points to qualify for Ireland. So what is a point? A point is $1 of annualized premium. So if I told you that every policy is about $1,000 annual premium, that's 1,000 points per policy. Meaning you need about 135 policies, excluding annuities, excluding big time sales like that, which you will come across. Let's just keep it conservative. On the conservative side, you need 135 applications to go through. So when we go on these trips, I mean, you get around the best of the best. You get to network with them, you get to know them, get to know about their family, stuff like that, which is really important. And the other, I mean, we just have a blast. So I want to share something with y'all because we just got back from Cancun, and to be honest with you, that's why my voice is gone. I work hard, but I play really hard too. And so I played hard. So I want to show you guys a quick video just to give you guys an idea of what I mean by we have fun. So this is our trip to Cancun, and this is the recap of our trip. So just take a minute and listen in here or watch.
It's not so much what we did as what you're going to get to do on the next Alliance incentive trip. You need to be there with us.
All right, hopefully that got some of you excited. I mean, it was just, there's people on this call that were there with me. It was an absolute blast. And I really hope that some of you on this call have liked what you heard. You know, I think it's important to know, like, we come from all different walks of life. We have military players, athletes. One of the guys on our team was a sous chef, and some of you, I think somebody's on this call from him, Vinny Napoli. He was making $12 an hour. He works 2 days a week with me. Had made $120,000 last year. I mean, it's just all different types of walks of life. And if you're willing to put in the work, I can promise you that that this thing will work for you. And we've got the opportunity, we've got the system. We can show you exactly how this thing works. All you got to do is tune in, be excited, and be coachable. So with that being said, I've kept y'all 47 minutes. So I do appreciate all you guys being on here. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I put my phone number in the chat. Please get back with the person that invited you. Let them know what you think. Hopefully I got you excited. If I didn't, I did a bad job, and that's okay. We'll try again next week. But thank you guys from the bottom of my heart so much for joining on this holiday. I hope y'all have an incredible rest of your night, and God bless.